Your grandmother never read a single financial advice column. She never downloaded a budgeting app or watched a money-saving influencer on TikTok. Yet she retired with a paid-off house, no credit card debt, and a biscuit tin full of emergency cash that never once let her down. Number 17 on this list is something Barclays actively discouraged in 1978, and number 7 is so effective that modern banks have designed entire product lines to stop you from doing it. These 23 tricks were not clever hacks, they were survival. And the reason you have never heard of most of them is because somebody profits from you forgetting. Before we start, hit subscribe, because what your nan knew about money might be worth more than your ISA. Let us count them down. Number 23. The envelope system. Before direct debits and standing orders, your mum ran the household budget with a stack of brown envelopes and a biro. On payday, she would sit at the kitchen table, count out the wages, and divide the cash into labelled envelopes. Rent, electric, gas, food, clothing club, Christmas. Each envelope got exactly what it needed, not a penny more. If the food envelope ran dry by Thursday, you ate bread and dripping until Friday. No overdraft, no borrowing from the gas money. The system enforced discipline that no banking app has ever matched. A study by the Money Advice Service in 2019 found that people who use cash spend on average 12 to 18% less than those who pay by card. Your grandmother knew this instinctively. She could feel the money leaving. She could see the envelope getting thin. That physical, tangible loss created a pain that tapping a contactless card simply does not register. The envelope system cost nothing. It required no technology, and it worked so well that financial coaches now charge £200 an hour to teach people the same principle your nan learned from her mother in 1953. Number 22. The Christmas Club at the corner shop. Every January, your mum would walk into the local newsagent or corner shop and start a Christmas savings club. She would hand over 50 pence or £1 each week, and the shopkeeper would write the amount in a small ledger or stamp a card. By December, she had £25 or £30 saved, enough for a turkey, crackers, selection boxes, and a bottle of something for your dad. No interest earned, but no interest paid either. The genius was in the invisibility of it. That money was gone the moment she handed it over. She could not dip into it for the electric meter or a new pair of school shoes. It was untouchable. Psychologists call this a commitment device. Your grandmother called it common sense. Modern equivalents like savings apps charge subscription fees, harvest your data, and still let you withdraw at the tap of a button. The corner shop ledger had no app, no algorithm, and no loophole. The shopkeeper knew your name, knew your mum, and would raise an eyebrow if you tried to withdraw early. Social accountability was the lock. It never failed. Number 21. Buying day-old bread from the baker. Your nan never paid full price for a loaf if she could help it. Every bakery in Britain had a basket or a shelf near the counter where yesterday's bread sat at half price. A fresh loaf might cost 15 pence in 1975. The day-old version was 7 or 8 pence, and it was identical in every way except the crust had lost its crunch. Your grandmother would buy 2 loaves at the price of 1, toast what needed toasting, and make bread and butter pudding with anything that went properly stale. Nothing was wasted. Some bakers kept a list of regulars who would collect the reduced bread at closing time. Your nan was on that list. She knew the baker by name, knew what time the prices dropped, and planned her walk into town around it. Supermarkets killed this relationship. Bread now travels hundreds of miles in plastic, stays soft for a week through preservatives, and costs 3 times what it should. Your grandmother got better bread, cheaper, and the baker stayed in business. Everyone won. Now nobody does. Number 20. The co-op dividend. The cooperative society was not just a shop. It was a financial revolution disguised as a grocery store. Every member had a dividend number, and every purchase earned a percentage back. Your mum would recite that number from memory at every till. In the 1970s, the divvy ran between 2 and 5%, paid out twice a year. Families used it to buy school uniforms, pay for holidays, or stock up at Christmas. A family spending £15 a week on groceries could accumulate £20 or more by the end of the year without saving a single penny deliberately. The co-op divvy was arguably the first cashback scheme in the world, predating loyalty cards by over a century. The original Rochdale pioneers launched it in 1844. By the 1970s, it was embedded in working-class life so deeply that losing your divvy number felt like losing a limb. Modern loyalty cards offer fractions of a percent and drown you in targeted advertising. Your grandmother's co-op number gave her real money back, with no data harvesting, no algorithms, and no emails about products she did not want. Number 19. Growing your own and bartering the surplus. Your granddad's allotment was not a hobby. It was an economic engine. A 10-rod plot cost about £3 a year to rent in 1975, and it could produce enough vegetables to feed a family from April to October. Potatoes, runner beans, marrows, lettuce, beetroot, onions. The surplus went over the garden fence. A bag of runner beans for Mrs. Henderson in exchange for a dozen eggs from her hens. A marrow left on the doorstep of the neighbour who fixed your guttering. No money changed hands, no tax was owed, no receipt was given. This informal barter economy operated in every street in Britain and saved families pounds each week. The National Allotment Society estimated that a well-tended plot saved the average family the equivalent of £5 a week in the 1970s, roughly £50 in today's money. That is over £2,500 a year from a patch of earth and a few packets of seeds. No bank account on the market offers a return like that. Number 18. Paying the milkman weekly. The milkman was not just delivering milk. He was running a zero-interest credit line for every household on the street. Your mum would leave the empties on the step, take in the fresh bottles, and settle the bill on Friday. No contract, no interest, no late payment fees. The milkman knew exactly what each house needed and adjusted automatically. New baby? Extra pint. Kids away at their nans? Skip a day. This rolling weekly account meant your mum never had to find a lump sum for milk. The cost was spread invisibly across the week, and the empties created a closed-loop recycling system decades before anyone used the word sustainability. Modern milk delivery services charge a premium and require direct debits. Your grandmother got doorstep service, flexible credit, and a personal relationship with her supplier for less than the supermarket charged. When the milkman disappeared, families lost more than convenience. They lost a financial buffer that had quietly kept households running for generations. First pattern break. Here is where the banks start to squirm. Your grandmother understood something about money that modern financial institutions spend billions trying to make you forget. Cash is power. When she walked into the butcher's shop with a £5 note and asked for a leg of lamb, she had leverage. She could see the meat. She could haggle. She could walk away. The butcher needed her custom. The transaction was immediate, transparent, and final. No hidden charges, no processing fees, no data trail. Credit cards reversed this power dynamic entirely. The bank sits between you and the butcher, takes a cut from both sides, and charges you interest if you do not pay within 30 days. Your grandmother would have looked at a credit card statement and asked why anyone would pay a stranger to hold their money and then charge them for the privilege. She would have been right to ask. Number 17. Catalogues and the weekly payment book. Littlewood's, Grattan, Freeman's. The catalogue was how working-class Britain furnished homes, dressed children, and bought Christmas presents without ever stepping into a bank. Your mum would circle items in the thick, glossy pages, place her order, and pay weekly through a payment book. No credit check, no interest in most cases if you paid on time. The catalogue agent, usually a neighbour, collected the payments each week and earned a small commission. In 1975, over 20 million catalogues were in circulation across Britain. The system worked because it was built on trust and community. Your mum knew the agent knew your mum. Late payments were handled with a quiet word over the fence, not a threatening letter from a collections agency. Barclays and the other high street banks hated catalogues because they bypassed the banking system entirely. Working families could access goods without ever opening a credit account. The banks lobbied for regulation, promoted their own credit cards, and eventually the catalogue system crumbled. Today, buy now, pay later apps like Klarna charge hidden fees and report to credit agencies. Your grandmother's catalogue was kinder, cheaper, and more humane.
Number 16.
Mending and darning instead of replacing. Your nan had a darning mushroom, a tin of buttons, and a sewing box that could fix almost anything. A hole in a sock took 3 minutes to darn. A missing button cost nothing to replace from the spares tin. Trousers were taken up, let down, patched at the knee, and handed to the next child. A pair of school trousers might pass through 3 siblings before finally becoming cleaning rags. In the 1970s, the average British household spent about 9% of income on clothing. By 2020, it had dropped to around 5%, but the volume of clothing purchased had quadrupled. We spend less per item because the items are disposable. Your grandmother spent more per item because each piece was built to last, and she made it last longer still. The sewing box was not frugality for its own sake. It was an economic strategy. Every mended sock was money not spent. Every patched elbow was a week's school dinner money saved. The charity shops of the 1970s were full of clothes that had been worn, mended, worn again, and finally donated when they could give no more. Today, we throw away 300,000 tons of clothing a year in Britain. Your nan would be horrified.
Number 15. Buying meat on Saturday afternoon.
Your grandmother knew the butcher's schedule better than she knew the television listings. Saturday afternoon, around 3 or 4 o'clock, was when the prices dropped. The butcher could not keep fresh meat over the weekend. No domestic freezer was large enough to store unsold stock, and Monday's delivery would bring fresh cuts. So the prices fell. A joint of beef that cost 80 pence at 9 in the morning might be 50 pence by 3:30. Sausages, chops, mince, all reduced. Your nan would time her visit perfectly, arriving with her shopping bag just as the chalk prices on the blackboard were being rewritten. She would cook the meat that evening or Sunday morning, stretching the savings across the entire week. This was not bargain hunting, it was precision economics. She understood supply and demand better than most city traders, and she applied it every single Saturday without ever reading a textbook.
Number 14.
The jam jar savings system. Before ISAs and premium bonds, your grandmother saved money in jam jars. Not metaphorically, literally. Labeled jars lined the top shelf of the kitchen cupboard. Holiday jar, doctor jar, shoe jar, rainy day jar. Every spare coin went into the appropriate jar. When the holiday jar was full, you went to Skegness. When the shoe jar had enough, the children got new plimsolls. The system was visual, physical, and brutally honest. You could see exactly how close you were to your goal. No interest rates to calculate, no terms and conditions to misunderstand. Modern savings accounts obscure your progress behind login screens and fluctuating interest rates. Your grandmother could glance at a shelf and know exactly where she stood. The jam jar system also prevented the most dangerous financial habit of all, borrowing from one goal to fund another. The rent jar was sacred. You did not touch it, ever. That discipline kept families solvent through recessions, strikes, and 3-day weeks.
Number 13.
Buying in bulk from the cash and carry. Your nan did not have a Costco membership, but she understood the principle. Once a month, she would pool resources with 2 or 3 neighbors and make a trip to the local cash and carry. Tinned goods, cleaning products, tea, sugar, flour. Bought in catering-sized quantities and divided on the kitchen table. A £5 bag of sugar cost far less per pound than the £1 bag at the corner shop. A case of 48 tins of baked beans worked out at nearly half the individual price. The neighbours shared the cost, shared the transport, and shared the savings. No membership fee, No minimum spend tracked by an algorithm. Just 4 women with shopping bags, a borrowed car, and the common sense to know that buying together was cheaper than buying alone. This informal cooperative predated every bulk buying warehouse by decades, and it worked without a single barcode being scanned. Number 12. Using the post office savings account. The post office savings bank was where working-class Britain kept its money, and for good reason. It offered something no high street bank could match: trust. Your grandmother had grown up hearing stories of bank failures. She did not trust Barclays or NatWest with her life savings. But the post office was backed by the government. It could not fail. The interest was modest, around 3 to 4% in the mid-1970s, but the money was safe, accessible, and free from the intimidation of a bank manager's office. Your mum could deposit 50 pence on a Monday and withdraw it on a Friday if she needed to. No appointment, no judgment, no minimum balance. The post office was on the high street, next to the chemist. She went there anyway to collect the family allowance. Saving was built into the routine. Modern online banks offer higher rates but require smartphones, email addresses, and identity verification that would have baffled your grandmother. She walked in, handed over her passbook, and walked out. Simplicity was the feature. Everything else was noise. Second pattern break. Let us talk about what the banks did next. In 1979, the average British household had almost no unsecured debt. Credit cards existed but were rare, held mostly by businessmen and the upper middle class. By 1990, credit card debt had exploded. The banks had figured out something profound. If you could make people forget how to save, you could sell them borrowing instead. Every trick on this list, the envelopes, the jam jars, the catalogues, the co-op divvy, these were systems that kept ordinary families out of debt. The banks did not just offer an alternative, they dismantled the infrastructure that made these tricks possible. The milkman was replaced by the supermarket. The corner shop savings club was replaced by the credit card. The post office lost its savings monopoly. Piece by piece, the systems that kept your grandmother financially independent were stripped away and replaced with products that generated profit for someone else. Your Nan was not naive. She was resilient, and the system she built around herself was designed to keep the banks at arm's length. That was the real trick. Number 11. Batch cooking on Sunday for the whole week. Your mum did not meal prep. She batch cooked, and there is a difference. Meal prep is photographed for Instagram. Batch cooking was survival. On Sunday afternoon, she would make a vat of stew, a shepherd's pie, a pan of soup, and a rice pudding. Monday was leftover roast. Tuesday was stew. Wednesday was shepherd's pie. Thursday was soup with bread. Friday was chippy, or egg and chips. The entire week was planned, cooked, and portioned before songs of praise had finished. No food waste, no impulse buying, no sad Tuesday trip to Tesco for something quick because nobody planned ahead. The savings were enormous. A family of 4 could eat for the week on what many modern households spend in 2 days, simply because every ingredient had a destination before it left the shop. Number 10. Refilling and reusing everything. Your grandmother refilled washing up liquid bottles from the market. She reused carrier bags until they had more holes than plastic. She washed and reused tin foil. She kept elastic bands from the postman's deliveries in a ball the size of a fist. Margarine tubs became storage containers. Old sheets became pillowcases. Pillowcases became dusters. Dusters became floor cloths. Nothing was single-use because nothing was disposable. In the 1970s, the average household produced a fraction of the waste we generate today. Not because they cared about the environment, though many did, but because replacing things cost money they did not have. Every reuse was a saving. Every saving was security. Modern Britain spends an estimated £13 billion a year on single-use products that your grandmother would have used, washed, and used again without a second thought. Number 9. Negotiating everything. Your Nan haggled. Not aggressively, not rudely, but persistently and effectively. She haggled at the butcher, the greengrocer, the market stall, and the furniture shop. She asked for a discount for paying cash. She asked for a reduction on damaged packaging. She asked if there was anything cheaper round the back, and more often than not, she got what she asked for. The death of haggling is one of the great unspoken financial losses of the supermarket age. Fixed prices are presented as fairness, but they are really a mechanism for extracting maximum profit. Your grandmother's willingness to ask saved her 5 or 10% on nearly every purchase she made outside the supermarket. Over a lifetime, that adds up to thousands of pounds. Modern consumers accept the price on the sticker without question. Your grandmother questioned everything.
Number 8. Keeping a housekeeping ledger. That small notebook by the telephone was not for messages. It was a financial record. Your mum wrote down every penny spent, every penny earned, and every penny owed. Monday, bread 15 pence, milk 22 pence, gas meter 50 pence. By Friday, she could tell you exactly where the week's money had gone, down to the last halfpenny. No bank statement required, no app needed. The ledger made invisible spending visible. It revealed patterns, it exposed waste, and it kept the household accountable to itself. Financial advisors now charge clients hundreds of pounds to track their spending. Your grandmother did it with a pencil and a notebook that cost 10 pence from Woolworths. Number 7. Paying for everything in cash and rounding up the change. Your grandmother did not just pay in cash, she weaponized the change. Every transaction that produced coins under 10 pence saw those coins swept into the savings jar. Buy something for £1.73, pay with £2, and the 27 pence goes straight into the tin. Over a week, that might be £1 or £2. Over a year, £50 to £100 in money she never missed. Banks have spent decades trying to eliminate cash, precisely because cash creates this kind of friction. Contactless payments are frictionless by design. You do not feel the money leaving. You do not accumulate change. You do not save without thinking. Your grandmother's method was automatic, painless, and invisible. It required no willpower. The savings happened as a byproduct of living. No fintech startup has ever improved on this. Number 6. The repairman instead of the replacement. When the television broke, your grandmother did not buy a new one. She called the repairman. When the washing machine stopped spinning, she did not browse curries. She called the repairman. Every high street had a television repair shop, a cobbler, a watchmender, and an electrician who made house calls. A television repair might cost £5. A new television cost £200. The economics were obvious. Modern appliances are designed to be unrepairable. Sealed units, proprietary screws, unavailable parts. This is not progress. It is planned obsolescence, engineered to extract maximum spending from every household. Your grandmother's Britain had a repair economy that kept goods in service for decades. A washing machine lasted 20 years. A television lasted 15. Today, the average appliance lasts 7 years, and the repair shop has been replaced by a recycling centre. Your nan would call that a racket. She would be right.
Third pattern break. Here is the one they really do not want you to know. Your grandmother never paid a bank fee in her life. Not one. She did not have an overdraft because she had the envelope system. She did not need a credit card because she had the catalogue and the Christmas club. She did not pay for financial advice because she had the housekeeping ledger and the jam jars. The entire modern financial services industry, the apps, the advisors, the credit products, the debt management plans, exists because we forgot how to do what she did for free. Every trick on this list is a trick the banks cannot monetize. That is why they disappeared.
Number 5. Buying second-hand first. Your grandmother checked the second-hand shop, the jumble sale, and the small ads in the local paper before she ever walked into a high street store. School uniforms, furniture, bicycles, prams, curtains. All bought second-hand as a first option, not a last resort.
A school blazer that cost £8 new could be found for £1 at the church jumble sale, barely worn because children grow faster than fabric wears out. There was no stigma in it. Everyone did it. The jumble sale was a social event, a place to meet neighbours and find bargains in equal measure. Modern second-hand shopping has been rebranded as vintage and marked up accordingly. Your grandmother bought second-hand because it was sensible. We avoid it because we have been taught that new equals better. She knew that was nonsense. Number 4. Never borrowing for depreciating assets. Your grandmother had a rule she never articulated but never broke. You do not borrow money to buy something that loses value. She saved for the television. She saved for the washing machine. She saved for the holiday. If she could not afford it in cash, she waited. The only debt she tolerated was the mortgage, because the house went up in value. Everything else was saved for. This single principle, applied ruthlessly across a lifetime, meant she never paid interest on a consumer purchase. Not once. Modern Britain is drowning in car finance, sofa loans, and phone contracts. Your grandmother would look at a 4-year finance deal on a settee and ask why anyone would pay £1,200 for something that cost £800. She would ask, and nobody would have a good answer. Number 3. Keeping 6 months of expenses in the house. Not in the bank, in the house. Your grandmother kept cash in places only she knew about. The biscuit tin on top of the wardrobe, the envelope taped inside the sewing box, the rolled notes inside the empty vase on the mantelpiece. This was not paranoia. This was insurance. She remembered the 1970s power cuts, the 3-day week, the strikes that closed banks for days. She remembered that access to your own money is never guaranteed. That emergency fund, untouchable, invisible to everyone but her, meant she never once faced a crisis she could not handle. Modern financial advisors recommend 3 to 6 months of expenses in a savings account. Your grandmother kept it closer. She kept it where no bank failure, no computer crash, and no frozen account could touch it. She trusted herself more than she trusted any institution. History proved her right more than once. Number 2. Teaching children the value of money through earning it. Your grandmother did not give pocket money for nothing. You earned it. Washing the car, weeding the garden, running errands to the shop. Every coin came with a task attached. She was not being cruel. She was building a connection between effort and reward that no classroom could teach. By the time her grandchildren were 12, they understood that money represented labor. It was not abstract. It was not digital. It was the weight of coins in your pocket after an afternoon pulling weeds. That lesson, absorbed through repetition and reinforced every Saturday morning, produced a generation that understood debt instinctively. If you have to work 3 hours to earn £1, you think twice before spending it on sweets. Modern children grow up with contactless payments and online shopping. Money arrives and departs invisibly. Your grandmother made sure you felt every penny. And number 1. Living below your means as a permanent state, not a temporary sacrifice. This was not a trick, it was a philosophy. Your grandmother spent less than she earned every single week of her adult life. Not because she had to, though often she did, but because she chose to. The surplus, however small, went into the jam jars, the post office account, the biscuit tin. She did not call it financial independence. She called it not being beholden to anyone. That phrase, not being beholden, carried more weight than any modern retirement plan. It meant freedom. Freedom from debt, from worry, from the sick feeling of an unexpected bill arriving on the doormat. She built that freedom one brown envelope at a time, one Saturday afternoon at the butcher, one darned sock, and one refilled bottle at a time. Modern financial planning is a billion-pound industry built on complexity. Your grandmother's plan fit on the back of an envelope because it was simple. Spend less than you earn, save the difference, owe nothing to nobody. Every single trick on this list feeds into that one principle. And no bank, no app, and no algorithm has ever improved on it.
Try one this week, just one. The envelope system, the jam jars, the rounding up trick. Then come back and tell me your grandmother was wrong. I will wait.